I watched a video there to do with Mark McGuinness down in the south of Ireland, and lo and behold, uh, Jarlath Burns was speaking at it. The venom that was coming out of that individual. This man works for the BBC. Is it any wonder the BBC doesn't allow people like myself on unless there's no option? There's some good people in the BBC, but there's also some people in there, and whenever you see Jarlath Burns, you will see exactly what I mean. He talks about Mark McGuinness coming to his school and how the school was crumbling, and a week later, Mark McGuinness was able to announce a package of 17 million for that school. A week later.
I'm a school teacher in South Armagh, St Paul's Play School. Martin McGuinness visited our school and stood up to our staff and said, I am going to change this for you, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody thought that he's a politician, that mightn't happen. The following week we got news that there was an investment of 17 million going to be made in my school. And that's why Sinn Féin have taken education. In the same way as Pádraig Pearse years and years ago talked about the British education system.
Now, I don't know what was going on or how that can happen, but obviously when it comes to the Provies, and let's be under no illusion, Sinn Féin IRA is the killing machine of our loved ones over this last 35, 40 years. And indeed, whenever you hear this man talking, now this is the way it's set on the Eames Bradley, on dealing with the past. Now we see why the Eames Bradley was such a problem. The bitterness in this individual is unbelievable. For a well-educated individual who is a school teacher, who is teaching pupils, he talks about the War of Independence and about PJ, the boy that's down in hell getting the arse burned off him at the minute. Well, he's met up with his son, and now I didn't realise the old father was OC as well. So what they did at Tullyvallen, what they did at Darkley Gospel Hall, what they did at King's Mills, what they did when they kidnapped individuals, both Celtic and Protestant, took them away and tortured them brutally before murdering them, was all part of a war. Well, let me tell you something, Jarlath, or Mr. Burns. I mightn't be that well educated, but I can tell you one thing, it was no war. It was a dirty, stinking terrorist campaign where they lay behind hedges and shot people in the back of the head and went into gospel halls and buildings like that where they knew the people weren't armed and butchered them. And you have the cheek to stand up and say that Conor Murphy also fought in the war for independence for Ireland.
The MP for Armagh today is here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, Conor Murphy, and he also fought in the War of Independence. Did nobody tell you any different?
Conor Murphy was a terrorist. That's what he was. And the only joy I get out of talking about Conor Murphy is I know that my family played a part in catching that scumbag when he was planting a bomb. He was a terrorist. Quite simple. He was no soldier. He was a dirtbag. You talk about PJ Carter, how he run South Armagh. Well, he probably did run the IRA in South Armagh and was allowed to run the IRA in South Armagh along with Slab and a couple of other individuals. But I would ask you to consider this. Why do you think the sniper team was arrested when it was? Because I know for a fact they could have been caught on at least 3 other occasions and they weren't allowed to be touched. They were arrested when they were arrested because it suited what was coming up, and that was the peace process. And they knew the only way they would get people like PJ on board was if they had a bargaining tool, and that bargaining tool was his son. So they moved on them, arrested them, people said, why didn't they shoot them? Because there was a bigger plan. That's why PJ's son was not shot when he was caught going on a murdering spree with his colleagues. He was a bargaining tool. PJ did not want to see his son rot in jail, where he should have been. So he basically pushed for the IRA in South Armagh to come on board with the so-called peace agreement, because the British government and the Irish government, and indeed Sinn Féin, knew that South Armagh would not come on board unless there was a bargaining tool, and that bargaining tool was PJ's son in jail, and a couple of other prominent Republicans who was arrested with him in jail. They wanted them out. So PJ was born British, he died British. His father before him was born British and he died British. And Jarlath, you can stand and show all the bitterness and the hatred that you like against the Protestant people of South Armagh, because when you talk about British, you're talking about us. You're talking about the Protestant population within South Armagh, and indeed some of the Catholic population as well. There's more Catholics in South Armagh than anybody else did. So that's your great war of independence in South Armagh. While Conor Murphy was a terrorist in South Armagh, they actually were responsible for the killing of more Catholics. And the BBC needs to get rid of this individual. Because whenever you see the venom in this individual, and as well as that, I remember the time the Ings Bradley. This man's related to the bomber Burns. I actually tackled him at the time of the Ings Bradley, and he assured me that he had nothing whatsoever to do with the Republican cause and had no interest in the Republican cause whatsoever. So I give him the benefit of the doubt. I said I would not raise it as an issue, the fact that he was related to a brutal butcher who met his just ends when his own bomb blew him up in South Armagh, because I thought he was genuine and I give him the benefit of the doubt. But you think I would have knew better? But is any wonder people who are living in areas who don't deal with these people are conned? How could Martin McGuinness tell this man a week after they asked for money to rebuild a school? A week? They announced a package of 17 million. But the people who've been butchered in South Armagh at the minute can't get £17, never mind 17 million. But this man has to go. The BBC cannot be allowed to hold on to an individual who, the venom and the hatred that was coming out of him was just unbelievable. Just unbelievable. But it seems to be this man can sprout this type of hatred and bitterness. And a young girl in Rathfriland who worked for a newspaper who made a statement, rightly or wrongly, which was a very minor statement, referenced the deaths of a young girl. Her father was in the GAA. They hounded her, they threatened her until she had to quit her job and leave the country. Here's a man who's glorifying the butchery of the people in Kings Mills, the butchery of the people of Tullyvallen, the Darkleys, the Le Mans, the T-Bands, you name it, they're glorifying it.